Welcome to the Sleep Company. My name is Tammy Buitendag and I'm your podcast host. And today I want to discuss about the dynamic two people bring into relationship and how it translates to how we should be parenting our children. If you're new to my page, please go and do the like, subscribe, click the bell button, leave definitely a comment below. I would greatly appreciate it. So when it comes to two individuals, okay, at any given moment, let's say me and my husband has his world and his reality, and out of that, he brings things into our relationship. And likewise, I have things in my reality and my perceptions, and I bring that stuff into this relationship. Now, this space where we bring things into, that is essentially relationship. Because if you are all on your own, you're bringing nothing to nothing. You're bringing your perception just back towards yourself. You're circulating it back to yourself. So essentially, relationship is two individuals and the space that they occupy between them. Now, this is important because if my husband has a toxic mentality, he's a narcissist, he's ego-driven, all those kind of things, he brings that toxicity into our relational space. And likewise, if I'm an avoidant attachment personality, or I am passive-aggressive, or I'm volatile in any way, I bring that reality into this relational space. And now this relational space gets cloudy and poorly managed, okay? And that's where a lot of conflict arises. So the conflict arises essentially on what we bring into that space. Now, a healthy individual will bring healthiness into that space, and another healthy individual will bring health into that space. Now, this is important because at any given point, I am only responsible for my side of the equation and what I can bring into that space. My husband has no control over that. He may trigger me occasionally, but what he triggers and how I react to being triggered is what I bring into that space, not what he brings into that space. So if any of you have ever done couples therapy or have heard of people that do couples therapy, very little couples therapy is actually two people in the room at the same time. There are moments where you come together to discuss things, but the majority of couples therapy is treating the individuals separately, because I need to improve the health of this person, and then we need to improve the health of this person. And when these two people have better health, psychological health, the dynamic or the relationship will be much healthier. And when this comes into the parent-child relationship, is we need to realize that our child, especially when they're small, they're not yet developed enough to bring the right kind of things into the health of this relationship. Their reality is totally in this world where they're currently living. So the onus falls on us as the parent, the healthier and more advanced and developmentally stable human being, to bring stability and structure into that relational space. So the dynamic of our relationship, the onus essentially lies on the parent because we are more advanced. The child will get there eventually, but when they're really small, they haven't got the capacity. Now, what often happens with parents and people is that we spend a lot of time as parents or adults having unrealistic expectations on what the child should be bringing to the relational dynamic. You should be better in control of your emotions and bring happy emotions into this dynamic. If you get triggered, you should deal with it in an emotionally appropriate way and bring that into this relational space. But they really aren't capable of doing that. And I think it would really help if parents were to shift their perspective off of what can the child bring into this dynamic, because they can't bring much, okay? And how can I modify myself to improve the health of this relational space? So as the parent, the onus is on you to realize what your child is psychologically, developmentally, and emotionally capable of doing, and not expecting from them what is inappropriate, but managing your expectations as the parent. A good example of this is my daughter had colic when she was really small, and that highly triggered me, exceptionally triggered me. And I realized, because even when a colic dissipated, any forms of outburst or crying really brought up a huge amount of anxiety in me. And then I started realizing, okay, this isn't healthy for our relationship dynamic, because it's filtering into our relationship dynamic. So what I started realizing was I need to, because the only thing I can control is my side of the equation. So what I realized is, now what some parents would have done would have been like, you must stop being so loud. You must start managing your emotions. It is unacceptable for you to scream and shout like that. Sort yourself out. They project it back onto the child. But what I did was like, oh, whoa, okay, this is really bringing up a lot for me. Okay, I need to figure this out. So I went to therapy. And I went and saw God to help me with my attachment towards my daughter. I dissociated from her to build that, to work through that, and to work through why is it that I get so triggered by negative emotions. And in a nutshell, it came back to my childhood, right? I grew up in a family where negative emotions were not acceptable. So when she brings negative emotions, the window through which I'm viewing this relationship is like, that is not okay. But actually it is okay, because it's developmentally appropriate. It's normal. It's what little children do. They live in the world of emotions. They have not yet got the coping skills, mechanisms, and kind of maturity that us as adults have. Okay, so this is very important. When it comes to that adult relationship, you can expect your husband to bring his side in a healthy way. Likewise, you should be bringing your side in a healthy way, so that the two of you have a healthy dynamic. That's why we tend to expect more of our husbands than we do of our kids, because they are already adults, okay? But with your child, it's very important that you remember that the health of this relational structure lies with you initially, because your child has not got that capacity yet. And as you manage your side appropriately, the beauty in that is you start modeling to your child how could they too manage their side of the equation. And the better you do your side, the better your child will end up doing their side. So that eventually you end up with a relational dynamic between you and your child that is exceptionally healthy. I hope this helps.